Coming up on OU Nightly.
At least half of our victims are under the age of 16.
Most of the victims in the Kansas City parade shooting are children. Tonight, we hear from survivors.
And don't be fooled by these warmer temperatures. We are tracking a cold blast that is going to come through the area. I'm going to have those details in your forecast coming up.
And a first for Central Oklahoma will take you inside our region's only quick trip. This is OU Nightly. Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Melina Samir.
And I'm Darian Curry. We begin tonight with updates from Kansas City Police on the Chiefs parade shooting. CNN's Michael Yoshida has the details.
This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire.
Kansas City Police giving an update on Wednesday's mass shooting during a Super Bowl victory rally for the Chiefs. Many of nearly 24 gunshot victims are children.
At least half of our victims are under the age of 16.
Killed in the gunfire was a popular local DJ, 43-year-old Lisa Lopez Galvin.
Lisa leaves behind an incredible legacy.
As friends remember her, some recall their own terrifying moments running from the gunfire.
And all of a sudden, through the partitions, a wave of people come rushing through, screaming, "Gun, run, police are coming."
In the chaos that followed, at least one armed suspect was tackled by those in the crowd.
When I hit him from behind, I either jarred the gun out of his hand or out of his sleeve, because as I'm taking him down to the ground, I see the gun on the ground.
I want to thank the people who acted bravely yesterday alongside law enforcement.
Police confirmed they're looking at a number of suspects, and multiple weapons were recovered at the scene. Several Kansas City players expressed their outrage on social media and concern for the victims. One attendee recalls seeing head coach Andy Reid minutes after the ordeal.
I will never forget finally coming out of the bathroom after hiding, and around the corner comes Andy Reid with his grandchildren and his wife. And he said, as he walked by, "Are you guys okay?" That moment of humility is incredible.
Federal agencies like the FBI and the ATF are assisting Kansas City law enforcement officers in the investigation. Meanwhile, there are so many survivors sharing their stories. OU Nightly's Abigail Franklin joins us live in the newsroom.
That's right. I got in touch with some parade goers who were there to celebrate the big Super Bowl win that turned tragic, and they shared their experience as it all unfolded.
We just heard like a series of like really quick pops, kind of like, it sounded just like fireworks.
Was started out as a perfect way to celebrate the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the NFL superfans in attendance never thought they would experience a day quite like this.
A lady on the side of us was like, "Hey, do you see all these people running towards us?" And we turn around, we're like, "Why is there 500 people running towards us?" We were like, "Oh my gosh, I think they're actually shooting."
Shots were fired around 1:50 p.m. and police say they responded within moments.
It just started, I don't know, I started freaking out, and I was like, "Cameron, we gotta go. And then I was trying to call my mom.
She calls, and it's a broken call. And it was, all I heard from her was, "Mom, shooting. Okay. Scared."
A day of celebration turned into a tragic event. And now sharing a memory no one wants to keep.
That day was not supposed to be scary. It was supposed to be fun. And it's really sad because they've kind of, like you said, they've made Kansas City join the club, and that's not cool.
And Georgia shared with me that a friend was injured in that shooting, and what we know now is that she is okay and on her way to recovery. And as the investigation continues, we'll keep you updated.
Thanks, Abigail. Just heartbreaking stories. But back here in Norman, it's time to check on the weather.
A nice day today, but it may not last. Let's get right over to OU Nightly meteorologist Lauren Brand.
That's right. These past couple of days, we've had some warmer temperatures, especially what we saw earlier on in the month and into January as well. But this is not the story right now. But don't be fooled, because this will not last forever. These are some of the current temperatures that we are seeing across Oklahoma. But like I said, this will not change. Braden CO is outside right now. Braden, can you tell us what those temperatures are on campus right now?
Absolutely, Lauren. Currently, we've got those temperatures in the 60s, like you said. It feels fantastic out here, and we've seen a lot of people walking around enjoying it, as they should, because it's not going to stick around long, and we'll time that out for you. And you can see that as we head through the day tomorrow and into Saturday morning, wind chill values will drop into the teens, and they will continue to be very cold as we head into Sunday morning, still around those 20s. And then as we head into early next week, temperatures start to warm up a little bit, and we could see temperatures reach the mid-60s by Monday afternoon. Further timing that out for you, feels like temperatures will warm to around 70 Tuesday afternoon. And then by Wednesday afternoon, we could be talking about mid-70s here in central Oklahoma. But until then, we've got that cold front to worry about, and I know you'll have more on that coming up in the show. Lauren, back to you.
Thanks, Braden. Coming up later in the show, I'm going to be talking more about some of that weather whiplash. Those warmer temperatures will return, and some of those drier conditions on the way.
Thanks, Lauren. We're watching a hearing involving former President Donald Trump's election subversion case in Georgia. The DA in the case testified about a relationship she had with the prosecutor she chose. OU Nightly's senior political correspondent Noah Mack has the details. Noah?
Well, Melina, Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis took the stand just minutes ago with a defiant testimony. This hearing is an effort by Trump's legal team to oust Willis from his Georgia election subversion case. Willis previously confirmed she had a personal relationship with the special prosecutor she hired, Nathan Wade, but she denies any wrongdoing. However, the Trump team disagrees. They claim she financially benefited from the relationship. On the stand, Willis was visibly aggravated and dismissed the allegations, calling them lies. Meanwhile, Trump is in New York today for another case involving hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Melina, Darian, back to you.
Thanks, Noah. There's a new national security threat regarding Russian nuclear weapons. OU Nightly's Savannah Simmons has that and the rest of today's national and international headlines from the News Center.
The White House confirms that Russia has a nuclear anti-satellite system. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner is calling this a serious national security threat. According to U.S. intelligence officials, Russia's system is not yet orbital and it cannot directly cause physical destruction on Earth. The prime ministers of Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. This follows reports of Israel's planned military operation in Rafah. Israel's prime minister stated that they will press ahead with an offensive against Hamas in the city. The countries are urging Israel to not conduct the offensive, but efforts would be required from both sides for the ceasefire. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has drafted contingency plans to cut detention capacity and release thousands of immigrants. ICE faces a budget shortfall, staring down a $700 million deficit. The White House has supplemented ICE with more than $7 billion as a part of a broader national security request. President Joe Biden has asked Congress to give more resources to deal with the U.S.-Mexico border and record levels of migrants. Melina, Darian.
Thanks, Savannah. Prosecutors in Caddo County announced they are seeking the death penalty against Alicia Adams. Adams was 4-year-old Athena Brownfield's caretaker who was murdered in the January of last year. Alicia and her husband Ivan Adams were both charged in the murder shortly after Athena's disappearance.
A study says exercise can help with mental health. Find out what type of physical activity can boost your mood next.
And we are keeping you safe. A recall for a popular charcuterie board meat. What you need to know after the break.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. Physical activity may be just the boost you need to help with your mental health. OU Nightly's Julia Roberts looks at a new study about working out in today's Health Beat.
Melina, according to new research in the BMJ, activities like walking, jogging, and yoga can be just as helpful as therapy when it comes to treating depression. Depression impacts between 10 and 25% of the population, but only half of that number receives treatment. The author of the study recommends making an exercise plan and sticking to it. Two popular diabetes and weight loss drugs, Ozempic and Mounjaro, have plans to raise prices this year. That's along with 900 other brand name medications. Novo Nordisk says they boosted Ozempic prices based on changes in the healthcare system, inflation, and market conditions. As for Mounjaro, Eli Lilly hiked prices up 4.5%. A popular meat product commonly used for charcuterie boards is being recalled for potentially being under-processed. The USDA encourages consumers of Fratelli Bertetta, a ready-to-eat meat, to throw away any packages or return them for a refund. Aldi's, Publix, Costco's, and Sam's Club sells this product but under different names. And this is what is known as Alaska pox. Health officials confirmed the first death from this virus. It remains unclear from how the virus spreads from animals to people. Melina, Darian.
Thanks, Julia. A long-awaited opening for a beloved gas station is finally here.
We take you to their new Metro location after the break.
And those warmer temperatures are going away. We will have a cold blast that's coming through, but I'm going to time that out coming up in weather. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We are taking a look at our new weather center cam provided to us by the Weather Channel. We have a little bit of traffic, but it's moving pretty quickly. This will start to fill up eventually as we go on throughout the evening. But taking a look at those current temperatures right now, we're sitting around 62 degrees. We have a little bit of a breeze, but really not overly so. And it feels like 62 out there, so really not off the mark at all. But those temperature changes that we saw in the past 24 hours, that really was up in effect towards the Panhandle. Guyman saw about an 18-degree difference, and Woodward saw about a 20-degree difference, but we didn't feel as much here, but we will, especially as this cold blast comes through the area. Now for tomorrow, we won't be as high as we saw today, but that's really going to start to affect us as we go into those evening hours. But for most of the day, we should be mostly clear. We'll be around 51 degrees for that high, and it will be a little bit breezy at times. So take that into consideration if you are out and about. So for that air mass forecast, we are going to be timing this out. This is going to be Friday around 7 a.m. So that cold mass isn't really going to be affecting us quite yet, but as we make it on through Friday evening, this is going to be Friday around 3 p.m. We should start to feel that cool down, but that should really be in those 50s and maybe even those 40s. So we're really not going to be seeing those cooler temperatures with those colder wind chills until Saturday morning and into those evening hours. But don't forget, those wind chill values will feel much colder than those actual temperatures. But that's going to be lingering with us up until around Monday. And as we go into Tuesday, we will start to warm back up, and that is going to be after that cold blast. So those cold blasts won't stick around for too long. Now, that temperature outlook, we are going to be above average for February 23rd through the 29th. But as we go into those lows for tonight, the average is going to be around 31 degrees, so we are above average for this time of year. Now, moving along for tomorrow, we are going to be around 51 degrees for here in Norman, and then as we go into that 7-day forecast, we are going to be cooling down, but eventually warming back up and eventually actually hitting those 70s as we go into next week.
So we're going to have some warmer weather, so we can at least have some shorts, t-shirt type
Yes.
of weather next week?
Yes,
Perfect.
so if you have any outdoor plans, it's going to be perfect to do so. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lauren.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So on to some exciting news. Tulsa-based Quick Trip is now open for business in the Oklahoma City Metro. The convenience store chain held a ribbon-cutting ceremony earlier this morning with local leaders. The new store is located at I-35 and Northwest 27th Street in Moore and is open 24/7. Quick Trip says another OKC location at I-35 and Hefner Road is set to open later this year. The Moore location marks the 85th Quick Trip in the Sooner State. And the back-to-back two-back national champions travels for another road test.
And a former Sooners change of pace helps lead his new team to a Wednesday night dub.
That's right, and the OU men's basketball team keeps their hot streak alive against another ranked team. I'll have that and more next in sports. Hello and welcome. I'm Addison Arthur. Sports is busy this time of year in Norman. OU women's basketball was looking for their 9th straight win last night against Baylor. Big night for Kirsten Johnson, coming off the bench and having a career high of 20 points. Here she is with the layup and getting real excited about it. It was the Pink Out game honoring breast cancer survivors, and head coach Jenny Baranchek says some things are bigger than the 84-73 win.
But when you actually see these women, it gives you an incredible perspective. But the most amazing thing is we're going to continue to do everything that we can for and with this community. So this one was definitely for all of them today.
Speaking of another top women's team in Norman, Sooner softball is starting what could be a season for the history books. And what no team has ever done, win 4 national champions in a row. OU heads to Lake Charles, Louisiana for 5 games over the weekend to potentially add to their 56-game win streak. Head coach Patty Gasso says this team is just getting started.
We talked about how fun it's going to be to see how good we can get. If what in their minds was 4, 5, 6 style performance, what is an 8 going to look like? And that's what they're really striving for right now.
I mean, it's pretty crazy to hear this softball team is just getting started. But OU baseball fans, it's finally your time. Opening day for the Sooners is tomorrow in Arlington. Oklahoma and 6 other teams will compete in the College Showdown at Globe Life Field. The Sooners will face the Oregon Ducks in Game 1. The main thing on head coach Skip Johnson's mind, keeping his team locked in.
If they come back and they start off good or bad, it doesn't matter. If they focus on the team, then they're going to have great years. If they focus on all the results of it, they're not. And so we've got to really make sure that they stay in a mindset of how can they help the team win that day.
It's the All-Star break for the NBA in Indianapolis this weekend. The Thunder, well represented in the Rising Star Games. These 3 OKC players will compete in a 3-game series starting this Friday through Sunday. From some Oklahoma basketball stars to another, Buddy Hield, the former OU star, had 22 points last night against the Miami Heat. Here you see him sink a 3, but he didn't have just one. Hield had 5 from behind the arch last night. The Heat beat Hield in a 76ers 109-104. Melina, Darian, back to you.
Thanks, Addison. Look out, there's a wild moose chase. A man went on a ski trip and wished to see a moose, and boy, did he.
That's right, he certainly got more than he wished for. How a ski trip turned into a wild moose chase? Up next.
I'm Kamarion Brown with an update on the deadly Kansas City Super Bowl parade. Police just released one of the 3 people they had in custody connected to the shooting. 2 juveniles remain detained as the investigation continues to find the suspects. 1 woman is dead and 22 others were injured. We'll be following. Darian, Melina.
Thanks, Kamarion. A Michigan man had an abnormal ski experience, but he also got what he wished for. Ken Rearson had hoped to see a moose on the slope, and one ended up following down the mountain after turning the bend.
He got ready to take a photo, but that's when he realized he had to lose the moose because it was running straight towards him. Ken didn't get his photo op, but his buddy sure did right before the moose went on its merry way.
Now we've talked about the current temps and how they're going to change.
But let's check back in with our forecast. Lauren, what can you tell us?
Well, as we go into tomorrow, we really aren't going to see that cool down until we get into those evening hours. This is a breakdown for tomorrow. Around 10 a.m. we'll be still on the colder mark, around 47, but we will warm up into those 50s. Eventually, we will start to cool down, and that's when those wind chills will start to be in effect into Saturday night. But looking at your 7-day Saturday, we're going to be around 41 for that high, and then eventually we will warm back up. Ladies.
Thanks, Lauren, and thank you for watching OU Nightly. I'm Melina Samir.
And I'm Darian Curry. Be sure to watch OU Nightly live weekdays at 4:30. Good night.